Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, one thing I want to make you aware of, if somebody starts transmitting on the radio, we won't be able to talk back and forth because the radio shuts off our intercom. So anytime I'm talking to you and then we hear somebody else talking, as soon as he's done, I'll pick up where they left off, okay?
Okay.
All right. I got the stick. Checking again for clearance. Make sure everything's good. I have to check the altimeter setting. Rev it up just a minute to warm it up a little bit more. Altimeter is good. Set to ground elevation. Radio is on 122.9, so I can hear anybody here. And with this airplane on grass, I need to pull the stick all the way back to make the front wheel nice and light so that it'll bounce nice and easy. And we travel no faster than this. Check the landing gear. Everything feels good. Now, when we get down here, we're going to turn at what we call a 45-degree angle so that we can get a full view of the airport and the traffic. And then we're going to do an engine run-up because it's the first time we're going to give it as much RPM as we can without actually moving. And then I watch the gauges. Good there. Slowly bring it back down. Now I'm looking over here for anybody who might be coming in. I'm looking over there to anybody that might be getting ready to come in. And I'm looking down here to make sure that nobody's coming up behind us or coming in the wrong way. Okay? Now I have to announce what I'm doing. Manny Traffic Experimental 27 Uniform Lima departing 7 remaining in the pattern. Manatee. Now what I do is I tell them what my intentions are so that people know what I plan to do. That way, if there's somebody coming in, they know that I'm taking off, they know what runway I'm on, and they know that I'm staying in the pattern. Now, if you get hot, you can open that little louver, get some air. All right, ready? Yeah. Wave. Sideways? Yeah. That's because the wind's coming from the south, and I have a trim string. I don't know if you can see it or not. Up on the windshield, there's a piece of yarn, and I have to keep that right in the middle of the windshield. And I do that by turning the rudder. That's called yawing.
We'll be overflying the airport for light traffic, runway 7,000 feet, Manatee traffic.
All right, we're at 900 feet. Now I'm going to chop the throttle back. We're in what we call a thermal. So we're in a rising air, so that puts us going up really fast. So by pulling the throttle back, getting the nose down, I can actually still maintain the same speed without climbing any higher. Now the plane's going to settle down a little bit. There's 847 feet. I level back off, and I bring us back up to 60 miles an hour, and that's what we want, is 60. Now when I get level with the cones over here, you see those 3 cones on the end?
Yeah.
All right. When I get level with that, I'm going to chop the throttle down, like right here. I establish my 60 miles an hour forward speed by getting the nose down. Then I start my turn to the airport. Vandy Traffic Experimental 27 Uniform Lima, right base 7 Manatee. We want to keep a nice, slow, coordinated turn. Keeping at 60 miles an hour. Vandy Traffic Experimental 27 Uniform Lima, turning final 7 Manatee. We got an airplane coming in behind us. He's right there in front of us.
Vandy Traffic Experimental is directly ahead the field southbound, entering the right down runway 7 Manatee.
Towards 75. Level off and go down. Okay? Vandy Traffic Experimental 27 Uniform Lima, departing to the east at 1,000. Alright, you still on the stick?
Yeah.
Alright, just try to fly us right straight. Can you see those 2 towers out there? Looks like a smokestack.
Yeah.
Alright. We're going to try to head for that, okay?
Yeah.
I'll do the rudder. You've got the stick. I push the nose down just a little bit. We're in a thermal. Nose ahead just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to pull back on the throttle because we don't want to climb over 1,200 feet. If we do, we're in Bravo airspace. We don't have a transponder on. So we don't want to get in trouble with the FAA. I'm going to put the aileron trim down just a little bit, make it a little bit easier. Down just a little bit more. That gets those down without having to push the stick too much. There's 1,100. We want to get back down to 1,000. You okay?
Yeah.
Now see how the string trim is kind of blowing around?
Yeah.
As long as it stays in the middle, we're okay. But if it goes over like that, I have to give it a little bit of right pedal because the wind's trying to blow us. We have to turn into the wind just enough so we don't let it blow us to the north. All right, there's 65, which is a nice, good, slow speed. Now, when I turn the plane a little bit. See how we're leaning?
Yeah.
You move the stick that way, just a little bit.
Okay.
That way. There you go. And then when I turn it, you want to keep the wings nice and level. If it feels like we're chipping that way, you bring it back. If it feels like we're chipping that way, you bring it back that way. Okay, now we're below 1,000, so now pull back on the stick just a little bit. And we're going to climb back up to 1,000 feet. There's another little thermal. Doing pretty good. I'm on it with you, so you can feel me tunking a little bit.
Yeah.
That's me.
Delta carry traffic 10%. Steady final runway 18, show 3.
Okay, pull back just a tiny bit. There you go. Right there. That's nice. Now, when we get into a thermal, we start going up. You'll hear me pull the throttle back. When I do that, you have to put the nose down a little bit by pushing forward. And if it feels like, if you hear me rev the engine up, that means you're going to pull back on the stick, okay?
Yeah.
That'll be your cue of what you need to do. Hear the engine rev?
Yeah.
There you go. Pull back a little bit more. There you go. Little gust of wind makes it kind of dance around a little bit. That's perfectly normal. If there's anything you're uncomfortable about, you can ask me anything, okay?
Okay.
Now we're climbing a little bit. Pull back on the throttle. There you go.
127 external 351 Yankee top at 5,000 angle 12.
All right, see the if the nose goes down abruptly, pull back just a little bit. And if it goes up abruptly, you push it ahead a little bit. You just try to balance the airplane. Just try to keep it flat and level. See, you're flying it. A little bit of a gust. If you get tired of flying it, just let me know.
Okay.
We'll go right around that lake. Looks like a lake. Actually, it's I think it's a cooling pond for that generating plant. Also, let me know if you start feeling nauseous a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Now, one of the things that we can use to actually tell where the wind is coming from, see that smoke over there?
Yeah.
We can see which way it's drifting, so we know where the wind's coming from. That way we know if we're flying into a headwind or a tailwind or a crosswind.
Arturo traffic 1757, 12 uniform is 12 miles. Airport, landing on 18. 12 uniform. And 127, now 18 Papa is left downwind, runway 18, 12, full stop. And Motley 7, close down hold. We're about 15 miles to the northeast, or joining the heart of yours. Runway
I've got it. See, when they start talking on the radio and they talk...
Traffic full stop at Arturo. Are you alongside? Oh yeah, I see you. Traffic inside 4-4 uniform.
When they talk a long time, we really can't talk back and forth.
Turn left base, runway 18, full stop, watch you.
Now, we don't like to fly right directly over buildings like that power plant, so we have to stay 2,000 feet away from it.
Runway 18, got you, full stop. Traffic land is inside, it'll be number 2.
So we're going to go over to the south just a little bit. We'll go around it. We'll go way out around that lake. Time we're flying, I've got to watch all the temperatures. I have coolant temperature, which is in the radiator. I have cylinder head temperatures on top of the engine. And I have sensors in the exhaust that tell me how rich or lean the exhaust is burning. And I have to make sure they all stay within a certain range. And if any of them don't look good, we have to turn around and go back. But everything looks really good. We're at 1,200 feet. We're doing 70 miles an hour. So what do you think so far?
Pretty cool.
Now this is the view from 1,000 feet, and the further up you go, the further you can see.
Chula traffic, 4-4 uniform, straight in, runway 18, full stop.
See, when the wind gets under the wing like that, you just have to bring it back quickly. You don't want to let it get out of control. So the secret to flying a little plane like this one, which is, it's actually not an ultralight, but it's what they call an ultralight trainer because it's so light. So the wind bounces us around really bad. The bigger planes don't feel it quite so much because they're heavier.
Like what, a ping pong ball?
Huh?
Like a ping pong ball?
Kind of like, yeah, if you throw a ping pong ball up in the air and there's no wind blowing, they go straight up and straight down. But what happens when you throw it up and the wind's blowing?
They blow one way or another.
Yeah, have you ever played badminton? There's a little birdie, a plastic birdie with a rubber ball on the end of it. You kind of bounce it over a net. If you try to play that game when the wind's blowing, it's really hard. Because that little birdie just goes all over the place. Well, that's kind of like what we're like compared to the big planes. The wind gets under the wing and it tips us up really quick like that, so we have to be quick on the stick this way to make sure we keep the wings nice and level. And then when we get into a thermal or a down... A thermal is when the air is going straight up from the ground, and a downdraft is when the air is going straight down to the ground. So what happens if we get into a thermal?
We'll go straight down?
No, we go up. Because the wind comes up underneath the wings and it lifts us up. So we start climbing. Now if we get into a downdraft pushes us to the ground. So we have to pull back on the stick like this, and we have to give a lot of throttle to maintain the altitude so we don't drop in altitude. So what we're doing is we're actually manipulating the air or manipulating the plane to the conditions of the air. What works best for us. So that's kind of what it's like flying any airplane. But the bigger they are, the less you feel the wind and the easier it is to control it.
Zero 6 for Fox is on the 4 miles final 09er. 9 scheduled.
You see those stacks way over there with the smoke coming out of them?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
What?
Well, you know where the manatees come in around that power plant?
Yeah.
That's it, on Big Bend Road.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, that's near Apollo Beach. And if you look just to the left of those stacks, you see a whole bunch of buildings. There's some white buildings.
Yeah.
And then beyond where the water is, it's a whole bunch of houses. All those houses way out near the water, that's Apollo Beach. Questions at all?
No.
You know what direction we're heading in now?
What?
No, look on my, up here. Up on the dash.
South.
No, we're heading up here. The direction we're heading is on the top of it.
North.
Yep. Now we're going to turn and head west. And we get just a little bit of a bank. A little bit of right rudder. Now bring back a little bit of left rudder to get the swing in the middle. Sometimes you can turn almost flat. Well, we were just heading north. But remember we flew over to those stacks?
Yeah.
All right, so one way to go back, if we took... Do you know what runway we took off on?
No.
Okay, when I called that we were leaving, I said we're departing on 7. So 7 means 70 degrees on the compass. So where is 70 degrees on here? What letter is near it?
North, east.
East, right there. Okay, now if we want to reverse our trip, all I have to do is fly back over there to those stacks. And then put the 7 on the bottom and look at where we're flying to. And we should be on 2.5. 2.5 is the opposite of 7. So if we want to find our way back, all we got to do is go to our landmark and fly back the exact opposite of the way we came. Okay? Another way we could tell is we flew away from the water, and the water is straight ahead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can fly back to the water, but if we fly to the water, we could be at Apollo Beach, we could be down in Sarasota. So it doesn't really it gives us a basic direction, but we need to know where the airport is so that we don't just, go all over the place. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly back to as close to the stacks as we can get, and then we're going to turn to 2.5, put the 7 on the bottom, and then we're going to fly back in that direction. Now, here's a trick. When we go back to the airport, we need to be to the south of the airport because Manatee requires all traffic to be to the south. So we have to be at the south. Now, there's other people flying around too, so because of that, we have to be very careful, very vigilant to look for all the other airplanes.
Manatee traffic, Pacer 60 kilo runway departing 25.
All right, now that guy just said he's departing. He's at Manatee and he's departing on 2.5. So we might have to land on 2.5. Maybe the SOC has changed. Or maybe he's just taking off on a different runway because he wants to, which is okay too. So now we got to be really careful because we might have to land on 2.5. The wind, depending on which way it's coming from, is going to tell us which way we're going to land. Now, there's another way we can tell. All right, on my radio, I can actually tune in to over there in St. Petersburg. It's called Albert Willard Field, and that will give us the wind conditions over there. And that's where we're supposed to get our weather from. So now we're not going to be able to talk for a minute while I listen to the weather, and it's going to give us the wind speed, the wind direction, and our altimeter setting.
Airport information, India. 13550 weather with 208. Visibility 10, sky clear, temperature 32.18, altimeter 3019. Visual approach in progress to runway 27, landing and departing runway 27. Airport departure about transfer direction flight. Advise on initial contact with information India. Airport information, India. 13550 weather with 2208. Visibility 10, sky clear, temperature 32.18, altimeter 3019. Visual approach in progress to runway 27.
All right, altimeter is 3019. So we look over on our altimeter over here, and we look at where that little needle is, and that's 3019 right there. So our altimeter is correct, but I really couldn't understand the wind direction. backing up. So we're going to just have to be very careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly to the south of the airport, and then we're going to go in on a 45 degree, and we're going to read the windsock and see what the windsock says. Now, do you see over out of your right-hand window, you'll see a bunch of white buildings out near the water. Do you see them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where the airport is. It's just north of those. That's a visual point. Of course, when we took off, that was behind us, so you couldn't see it. Another one visual point down here is if you look right out of my window over here, you see 3 towers all lined up. Boom, boom, boom. They're water towers. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Okay? That is heading southwest. So we can turn towards those towers now. See, there's the stacks. We're going to fly out till we see a road. And that's Tomahawk Trail or something like that. And then we're going to pick up 25 to head back. The airport is actually over there, so we're actually south of it now. But we're south and east. Right, I'm looking at my temperatures again. Everything looks good. We have climbed to 1,400 feet. So we're going to... Slowing the throttle down just a little bit so we can drop back down to 1,000. This road right here is Route 301. Now we can, well, we're not quite to that road. We'll go right out to this road and then follow it back. In the meantime, we want to be dropping a little bit, so we'll throttle back a little bit more. We're in a thermal, which means we're just kind of, the air is keeping us right up here. And if you look real careful between us and the airport, you see a bunch of cars. See all the cars and trucks moving through the creek? That's Route 75. That's the highway. When we cross over 75, we have to be below. We have to be below 1,200 feet. Because out here we can be up to 3,000 feet. We're still not in Bravo airspace. Do you know what Bravo airspace means?
No.
Okay, well, Bravo is a determination of the busiest airports they have. What's our busiest airport, you know? Tampa International. Let's get all the big jets and, you know, the big airliners and all that stuff. So, our Bravo airspace is Tampa. Now, I'm going to read that smoke over there. To me, it looks like it's coming from the southeast. So I'm still going to plan to use 7, but we're going to have to see what everybody else is doing when we get over there. We're down to 1,100, so now I can give a little bit more throttle and try to maintain that by not dropping any further. And then we want to be down to 840 feet when we go back into the airport. I head with my compass to 25, which would put us on the same as the airport. Then I can read that smoke. The smoke is coming from, I think, more to the west. Okay, now we're heading on 25. Gee, I can't tell. It looks like a direct crosswind to me. I'm going to try that airport again, so we won't be able to talk for a minute. south, inbound for a 45 entry for right downwind 7. Now, if somebody corrects us and says 25, then we're going to change to 25. But watching that smoke over there, it looks more like it's on 7 than 25. And these are some of the decisions you have to make as a pilot. I don't know why that's breaking up like that. Somebody was transmitting. Traffic experimental 27 uniform, leaving 3 miles to the southeast at 1,000, crossing 75, setting up for a 45-degree entry, right downwind 7, Hamilton. Now, we're to the southeast, and if I turn at a 45-degree angle right now, I'll head right for my hangar. Can you... Can you see the hangars over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I've got to get down to 840 feet. So we're going to throttle back just a little bit. Mandy Traffic Experimental 27 uniform on the 45 for right downwind 7. Hamilton. Pull the nose back up a little bit, throttle it up to maintain 65. Now as we get closer to the airport, we're going to be able to read that SOG, and we'll tell whether or not we're going to continue to go on 7. Now we're in a little bit of a downdraft. We're down to 800 feet. Pull the nose up. A little bit more throttle. Mandy Traffic Experimental 270 moving the right downwind 7. Alright, now we're in the downwind. Now we're going to take a good look at that SOC. Can you see it?
No.
Alright, you see that white circle? Looks like a bunch of white bricks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's called a segmented circle. The SOC is right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Now we're going to see which direction it's going in. Looks like it's pointing right at us. I don't see anybody on the runway. I don't see anybody in the pattern. What we'll do is we'll do a little bit of pattern work while we're at it. Okay, now I'm parallel with the cone, so I'm chopping it down. Set my 60. Mandy Traffic Experimental 27 uniform, lead my right base 7 Manatee. Now we're going to come in nice and low and slow this time. Mandy Traffic Experimental 27 uniform, lead turning final 7 Manatee. We're going to land and then we're going to take right off again. We'll do a couple of patterns like this. Out a little bit further and I'll show you a different type of landing. This is called a power on landing. We're going to have the throttle on just a little bit. We're going to head slightly to the south here just a little bit. We're going to go out a little bit. Going to go out a little bit further, make a slower drop at a slower speed with partial throttle.
Why is it all green down there?
That green?
In the water.
That's just pollen and stuff in the water. That's also a water treatment, so who knows what's in it. All kinds of ucky stuff. Yeah. Vandy Traffic Experimental 27, Uniform Lima, right base 7, Vanity. Now, because of the wind being the way it is, we have to manipulate the tail right. Right now, the wind is blowing on our tail. So if you look at my trim string, it's going to start going all over the place. Vandy Traffic Experimental 27, Uniform Lima, turning final 7, Vanity. Now, this time, what we're going to do is we're going to yaw into the wind to the south. And we're going to kind of go in sideways almost. And then straighten out just before we land. So now we get lined up with the runway. I got to get the trim string and pedal. There it is. Now I can chop the throttle. Go. traffic, experimental 27 uniform Lima, clear the runway, Manatee. So you like flying?
Yeah.
Kind of cool, isn't it? Smile and wave.